Hey, it's Chris and Margie. We're here in Wapakoneta, Ohio. What are we here for, Margie?
The Neil Armstrong Museum.
We're here for the Neil Armstrong Museum. We're going to go in. We've done this before, right?
We've done this.
Yeah, the video didn't do very well, but maybe this time it will. But we're going to go in and take a look at the different stuff from Neil Armstrong. I think it's called the Air and Space Museum. So let's go take a look. So here we have Neil Armstrong. It looks like it's one of his flight jackets, right?
Mm-hmm. Did you know he attended Purdue University?
Oh, wow. He went to Purdue.
On a U.S. Navy scholarship before serving as a Navy fighter pilot during the Korean War.
This F-9, F-2 Panther was the type of fighter jet Armstrong flew in Korea. Oh, wow. This is Armstrong's Navy uniform. Wow. Isn't that neat?
Mm-hmm.
The President of the United States of America. What was that for? Does it say?
To all who shall see these. I can't read it.
So this is the model of the Sabre jet flown by John Glenn during the Korean conflict. They also got a picture of John Glenn with John F. Kennedy. And then this piece over here is the model of the Mercury spacecraft that carried John Glenn into Earth. So probably the reason why John Glenn's in here is because he's from Ohio. So both the Russians and Americans used animals as the first passengers in space. Engineers could test equipment and learn how living beings would do in space without risking human lives. So they got a monkey over here. There's a small dog. Lead Soviet rocket engineer Sergei Korolev sitting with a test dog circa 1954. Sam, rhesus monkey, flew in an early version of the Mercury spacecraft. And then this is Leica, a female stray dog, became the first living creature to orbit the Earth on November 3rd, 1957 aboard Sputnik 2. They have a picture of a chimpanzee here getting ready to put it into the seat. So here we have Neil Armstrong's test pilot.
There's pilot boots and parachute.
Oh, so it's pilot boots and parachute. So here's his boots. Here's his parachute. Up above you can see there's Armstrong. Flew two important planes, the X-15 and the F-5D Skylancer. Each plane technology was adapted for later space flight. This is actually sitting out front, isn't it, Margie?
I believe so.
That plane there. So these are pictures of some of the survival training, I believe, during Armstrong's early career as an astronaut. He had to perform many training missions in order to prepare himself for his upcoming space flight. Neil Armstrong and John Glenn learned to live off the land in preparation for an emergency Earth landing. Down here is Armstrong used this machete during the field part of the survival training in Panama. And then here is a picture of him. It looks like practicing getting up and down into the space modular, possibly. Here's a picture of him in the modular. So this is actually from the cockpit of the Skylancer that Neil Armstrong did a test flight for. So this is
the spacesuit.
Well, I don't think it's a spacesuit. I think this is the Gemini. And that is what is over here, the Gemini capsule, which Armstrong actually orbited the Earth in. So, and they actually have. That is actually the Gemini capsule there. So, we probably won't be going over there because that guy seems to like to talk a lot, and that's going to take a while. So this is the area talking about Neil Armstrong's Gemini, which had to be done. It was like one of those tasks that had to be done before they could actually go to the moon. So once again, here's the Gemini that you can see from here.
But that's because this system is the problem. They shut off all the thrusters.
So this is the early Apollo missions did not require the power of the Saturn V. They relied on the Saturn 1B rocket, Apollo 7, which tested the command and service modular, and later the Skylab mission relied on the Saturn 1B. Engineers grouped 8 of the H-1 rocket's engines into the first stage of the Saturn 1B rocket. Each H-1 engine delivered 200,000 pounds of thrust. That's a lot of thrust, Margie. But then we have right here, we have the Saturn V, the giant. So this is the one that actually would have taken them. So to where to launch them into space towards the moon. Dwarfing all other Saturn rockets, the Saturn V was taller than a 36-story building and measured 33 feet in diameter at its base. The Saturn V has 3 boosters or rockets stacked, one on top of the other, making a single powerful rocket. The booster fired in sequence and were then discarded in flight. Apollo 8 and all the following moon missions used Saturn V rockets to place the spacecraft into lunar orbit.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Look how 363 feet tall.
Yeah.
7.5 million pounds.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Here we have a model of the Saturn V. It's 1 to 100 scale model. They got how big a person would be compared to this monster rocket.
That's crazy.
Wow. I wonder how tall it is compared to like something like the Empire State Building.
Oh no, something that we can look up.
Right, this says, although everyone realized that someday space pilots would die, who would have thought that the first tragedy would be on the ground? So this is the Apollo 1 human tragedy. In January of 1967, tragedy struck. The crew of the Apollo 1 moon mission, veteran astronaut Gus Grissom and Edward White and Ricky Roger Chaffee, lost their lives during a pre-flight test at Cape Kennedy. The astronauts were sitting in the command module. They were doing usual power tests. A fire suddenly filled the cabin. Poison gases suffocated the crew immediately. There was an investigation. Equipment change were necessary, delaying the first manned Apollo flight by more than 18 months. So it says Grissom is on the left, White is in the middle, and Chaffee is on the day of the accident. On the day of the accident. So here's the thing. Gus Grissom was actually the man who was supposed to be the first man to step foot on the moon. And then after this accident, that's when Neil Armstrong became the person. So here we got,
It's to prevent spoilage and to save weight. All the food loaded onto the spacecraft had the water removed and was sealed in special pouches.
So look, applesauce.
So
there's
you have
coffee.
Applesauce, coffee, cream of tomato soup, pineapple fruitcake, and chicken and rice. Above it's chocolate pudding. To the left is tuna salad.
I would skip that day.
Above it is grapefruit crystals. To the left of that is cocoa. And then over here, the big silver package is beef and potatoes.
Oh, that'd been fine.
Underneath it just says a survival bar.
Yeah.
And then food sticks. That's all it says.
Wow.
It's kind of cool to see, though.
Yeah. So here we have further personal hygiene.
Oh my gosh.
Urine collection device. Fecal collection bag.
Look at the soap and a washcloth.
Yeah. I don't think I could do that in a
So
bag.
to defecate, an astronaut attached a special bag with an adhesive coating to his buttocks. Astronaut then guided the waste into the bag with his... He placed a capsule of germicide into the bag, sealed it, and needed the contents. This is like disgusting.
Yes,
What in the world?
that's weird. We have, it says, the two-piece coverall,
Or
or impolite, was constructed of beta cloth. Go ahead, read it, Margie.
A special fireproof material. The coverall provided warmth, and the pockets on the legs were used to stow personal items.
Wow.
And it was by E.
Cernan.
Cernan who wore this.
Here's the Apollo 11 crew, which was Armstrong, Collins, and Aldrin. Neil Armstrong trains for lunar surface activities, courtesy of NASA. Looks like he's got a space sweeper out. I don't know what he's doing. All right, this is Apollo constant wear garment worn by astronaut Jim Lovell. So I think Jim Lovell was actually on Apollo 13, Margie.
What?
So this was actually worn by James Lovell or Jim Lovell, who in the movie Apollo 13 was played by Tom Hanks. So this was Neil Armstrong's biological isolation garment.
You want me to read it?
Yeah.
After Apollo 11 splashed down in the Pacific Ocean, Armstrong put on this custom-made biological isolation garment, BIG, to help prevent the spread of any potential moon germs. After exiting the capsule, the astronauts were rinsed in disinfectant spray and then flown to the USS Hornet and placed into a mobile quarantine facility.
We were just told this isn't Neil Armstrong's actual spacesuit. This is a 3D printed spacesuit. Neil Armstrong's actual spacesuit is in the Smithsonian in Washington. And we were just told that it's dirtier because they said space dust is hard to get off.
And if you want to know how much you would weigh on moon, take your weight and divide it by 6.
Margie says she thinks she could get out with a Clorox stick.
I did not say that.
There's also a picture of Neil over here. He also told us that pack weighed 192 pounds on Earth, but on the moon it weighed 32 pounds.
Wait, how much did he say?
192.
Okay.
And they had to have that pack for their air, for communications, and several different other things. We have another. What is this? This is Apollo spacesuit. This is Neil's backup suit. It weighs 190 pounds on Earth, but only 32 pounds on the moon. So this was his backup suit, Mark. These are the different places that the Apollo moon landings took place. You see this, Margie?
Yeah, I saw those.
So he had 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, and 17. And 13 was a failed attempt because they never made it to the moon. So this would have been the Apollo mission after 11. Took place 1969, Apollo 12 nearly aborted the ascent to Earth orbit when lighting struck the Saturn V twice. Lunar module landed in the ocean of storms. Another lava flow, astronauts Conrad and Bean inspected Surveyor 3 and brought samples of its back to Earth for analysis. The astronauts informally surveyed Head Crater, Beach Crater, and Sharp Crater. Apollo 12 deployed the first nuclear batteries for powering experiments. Next up we have, which was Apollo 13.
You want me to read it?
Yeah.
NASA scheduled Apollo 13 to land at Femoral Formation, a hilly terrain located near the equator, which included Femoral Crater. A ruptured oxygen tank during flight prevented Apollo 13 from completing its lunar landing and threatened the lives of the astronauts. Flight director Gene Kranz later referred to the collective effort to save the crew as NASA's finest hour. Apollo 13 safely returned.
Up next was Apollo 14.
Apollo 14 nearly aborted due to difficulties in docking the command module and the lunar module. Later, an intermittent radar signal threatened the lunar landing. Apollo 14 touched down near the Femoro Formation. Astronauts Shepard and Mitchell searched in vain for the rim of the cone crater, only to learn later that they had unknowingly come within a few meters of it.
Who was that? Shepard, Rusa, and Mitchell. Over here we have Apollo 15.
Loading at the Hadley, how do you say that? Apennine site?
Yeah.
Apollo 15 accomplished the first extended exploration mission. Astronaut Scott performed the only stand-up EVA from the Ellen hatch. Scott and Irwin drove the lunar rover vehicle for the first time and brought back then so-called Genesis rock.
Right.
At that time, excuse me,
And then over
scientists
here,
believed that rock to be one of the oldest in the solar system.
all right, Apollo 16.
Astronauts Young and Duke explored the Descartes Highlands, Cayley Plains in the second rover vehicle. They brought back Big Molly, the largest individual sample returned from the moon. It is named for Bill Mulberger, a geologist who trained Young and Duke.
And then Apollo 17.
Challenger landed in the Taurus Littrow Valley. Here, astronauts Cernan and Schmidt discovered orange-colored soil, which turned out to be tiny glass beads of volcanic origin. During the EVA, Commander Cernan inadvertently broke apart off a fender off the rover and had to repair it with duct tape and a folded map.
All right, this lunar sample was collected in July 1969 by astronaut Neil A. Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. It is composed of fragments from the moon's original crust, which is over 4 billion years old. Scientists call this type of rock vesicular basalt. What do you think? So we actually have pictures of each planet. This is Mercury. It says Mercury's orbit is so close to the sun that daytime temperatures could easily melt tin and lead. Over here we have Venus, which is, do you know what this is?
Nearest
No.
to the Earth.
It's the twin of Earth. Nearest to the Earth in distance, size, and mass, Venus is still shrouded in mystery due in part to its dense cloud cover. Next we have Mars, view from space. Mars has long captured our imagination, especially after discovery of the so-called canals in 1877. Up next we have, it's a ground view of Mars. So, in this Viking 1 photo, the surface of Mars looks like an Earth desert. Does. Next we have Jupiter. The planet is aptly named after the king of the Roman gods. Jupiter is 1,300 times the size of Earth. It's also where boys are from because they're stupider.
And it has 2.5 times more mass than the other planets combined.
Up here we have the red spot.
Jupiter's red spot.
Yes, Jupiter's red spot is a monstrous high-pressure storm covering an area big enough to swallow 2 Earths. Wow. After that we have this Io. It's one of the largest Jupiter's many moons. Then we have Saturn. Thousands of separate rings orbit Saturn, each at different velocities. How do you say that? Dione is 11th in the series of Saturn's known moons.
It's Dione.
Uranus. This is where the best fudge comes from. The color-shifted photography of Uranus reveals a distinct cloud layer. Up next, Miranda. This is one of the 5 moons of Uranus, known before Voyager 2 discovered 10 more. Wow. We have Neptune. The false color image of Neptune shows as red and haze covering the planet.
And there is no Pluto, so.
So this is Neil Armstrong, retired from NASA in 1971 to become a professor of engineering at the University of Cincinnati. Armstrong left teaching in the late 1970s and served on the board of many corporations. He became directly involved in the space program again in 1986 when he served as vice chairman of the Rogers Commission that investigated the Challenger disaster. I don't know how to start this. Okay, no vice. Can you see the...
Mm-hmm.
All right, move stick to skip next page. As pilot, as part of your task in achieving a successful landing is to reduce the vertical speed of the shuttle to less than 15 FPS at touchdown. You'll do this by, oh my gosh, to pitch. We're just going to wing it. What the heck? What's the worst that could happen, right? I don't feel like we're on, Marge. I don't know why I have a trigger. Press trigger to inset view. I'm trying to inset view.
So you're in the green area?
Oh my gosh.
I think you're going to miss the runway.
Nope, we're coming in. We're coming in hot. We're going to do a combat landing. All right, we don't want to come down with our nose down. We want to come down with our nose up.
Did you pass?
I don't know. I landed. It doesn't give you a pass. Oh well. All right, this is Margie trying. Back is up, forward is down.
Oh my goodness, I don't think I could ever pilot a plane either.
Margie, I don't think you're supposed to rock it back and forth. That's really...
Oh, I think I did it right.
And you did get it on the ground.
Oh, there we go.
Oh.
Your touchdown's conditioned.
Oh, I didn't see mine.
You want to do it again?
No. I feel like mine was good. All right, what is this, Marge?
This is the Space Shuttle tire. This tire was used on the main landing gear of Space Shuttle Endeavour during the STS-68 mission in 1994. And it was manufactured by, of course, B.F. Goodrich. So it was filled with nitrogen and inflated to 340 psi. During touchdown, the tire had to withstand speeds of over 250 miles per hour and loads of up to 142,000 pounds.
So other than
it was
what,
only used one time.
So other than that, what you just read, what else can you tell us?
It's a tire.
And it's been to space.
It's been to space.
Yes. Can you be an astronaut in 2000? All right, what is it, Marge?
A bachelor's degree in engineering, math, or science. Height between 5'4" and 6'4".
Ooh, I just barely make that one.
Flying experience, 1,000 hours piloting a jet aircraft. Test pilot experience desirable. Excellent physical condition.
Well,
gender, no restrictions. To be a mission specialist, you have to have a bachelor's degree in engineering, math, or science, plus 3 years of experience, or an advanced degree. You have to be 5 foot to 6'4". Flying experience, none required. Health, excellent. Gender, no restrictions. So I could be, I don't even know if I'm 5 foot now. They say I'm not.
Looks like you are. It looks like you're a little over 5.
Looks like I'm right at if I do it. Just
you look like
this.
you're over.
Okay,
even with leaning your head back. Hold your head straight.
I am.
Hold your head straight. This is the top of your head, right? It's top of your head. You look like you're taller than 5 foot, aren't you?
I don't know. They told me I was 5 foot.
Here, you take it. Show me.
Okay.
Oh.
Ready? Yeah, take off your hat.
No.
So I can see where
right here, right?
your hand is angled.
I
Here,
get
stand straight. I'll put my hand on top of you. Okay, duck down and move.
So you got to show me your hand. You can't just.
Sorry. You see it? It's like right there.
So what would you say that is?
5 foot, almost 5. You're like
Almost
5.
5?
I mean, you're like
I
right
used to be
here.
5'6".
You have osteoporosis.
I don't have osteoporosis. All right, so that's going to do it here at Wapakoneta, Ohio, at the Armstrong Air and Space Museum. Thank you guys for joining us, and I hope to catch you on our next adventure. We'll see you later. Bye.